Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ubuntu Dreams Podcast, where we bring innovators, game changers, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and the best of people who are changing the face of the continent. As Gandhi said it, being the change that we want to be. Here, we're speaking about the future of the African continent and what are the dreams that we want to see. How do we innovate and accelerate the continent towards those dreams, because the global inequality may be shrinking, but the opportunities and the future is accelerating ever fast. And if we don't do that, accelerate towards it, then we might be finding the dark continent still the dark continent and the sun setting on the Africa Rising dream. But today we have a born leader, an African entrepreneur, and a driver of the 4IR, as well as the creative industry as a whole. I want to introduce our guest here today, Mr Skhumbhuzo Miyeza. Sir, how are you?
Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you very much for hosting me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I mean, being an esteemed businessman and entrepreneur now for 10 years, driving Imbasa Communications, where you guys are actually helping businesses communicate their brands and how they're impacting their customers, and I'd probably even say transforming the ways in which businesses are positioning themselves in the market, and also you've been a long time driver within YMCA. Although that has changed recently, that will also be great to chat about. From the Africa Alliance and being on the executive committee of the World Alliance. I think YMCA in itself is as a global organization is one which spans a vast network across the continent, but also connecting Africa to the world. But talking about African dreams, sir, as an entrepreneur, having driven your business for a long time now, we have usually people in the audience that are thinking, or the viewers that are thinking they want to start a business, or they are currently in the early stages of their business, or they've hit a plateau and they want to take it to the next step, and they want to think more entrepreneurially. But there's a spark that needs to come in order for that to happen. What was your spark? How did it start? When did you see that entrepreneurship is for you as a young African?
You know, I mean, everyone has a dream, and we've been taught about dreams, that everyone needs to have a dream, everyone needs to have a vision. But until you see your dream, then you are inspired and you get more curious. Then you begin to ask a lot of uncomfortable questions. And then you find that people who are before you, they don't have all the answers. You realize that you have to be the one doing the searching. You have to be the seeker. You keep going, looking for more, trying to engage with other people that may have answers. But unfortunately, because it's your own path, it's your own journey, it's not easy for other people to give you answers, because your journey is different, your opportunities are different, the timing is different, So I believe in the African dream. I believe in the African child. I believe in black people. I believe that I believe that we have so much more that we can do, that we can achieve. If we choose to be more curious, if we choose to ask for more.
Powerful. I'm really loving the part about curiosity, because you took us from a point where you said your curiosity was sparked. You were exposed to something. which would be great to hear as well. But you then went on and take this curiosity to where you are now, and you climbed many ladders to get there. But curiosity and asking questions seems to be something that's core for the African child to think about. But it starts with exposure. So I would you say that we should be seeing or looking for ways on how to expose ourselves, or looking for ways on how to expose the African child, such that we can spark curiosity, as it were, for you?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I learned about something called cognitive paralysis. You know, we've seen TV, television, telling our vision, you know, and also giving us exposure to other cultures outside of...
Hey man, I don't think the guys got that. We were told our vision by the television. Is it the African vision? Is the question. But you were saying, man.
I mean, we've all heard about the American dream. You know, I mean, it's been sold to us via television.
Okay.
But you realize when you look at your ecosystem, you look at your community, you look at your surroundings, you don't see anything that can help you get there. Like, it's a huge disconnect.
Wow.
Instead of it inspiring you, it depresses you, because really it's like
this gap is
where do I start? You know, it's too, you know, it's too far-fetched.
Okay.
For most of us as African
young
kids.
Africans, yeah.
But the minute we begin to interact
okay.
with our reality,
okay,
the minute we begin to be more curious.
And by that you are saying the minute we begin to act
yes.
on our dreams.
Yes, yeah.
And ask questions on our dreams.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And noticing what is happening in my community. You know, what moves my community? What moves my peers? What moves everybody?
Around
what are the
me?
people
What's
talking about?
here?
You know, are we all getting married?
Yes.
And is that the epitome of our success?
Sure.
When we secure jobs, you know, when you get paid 45K, you are the, what do you call it? The highest earner in the community. Is that it for you?
Sure.
You know, what does it mean? And how can we define our own success? You know, because we read magazines, and we listen to other people's stories, be it a musician who has made it. Now, like your Black Mambazos, you know, I mean, I forgot the name of the guy who was doing classic, and he had been winning Grammy Awards.
Okay.
He had been winning Grammy Awards for many years.
Yeah.
And then he reached a plateau. You spoke about the plateau earlier on. And then he lost inspiration. He tried every album that came.
Under the sun.
Was just not good enough.
Sure.
Not good enough. There were articles everywhere.
Sure.
That has gone down. You know, people get excited if you've been big and now you like...
Now you're about to launch something else. There's expectations.
There's a lot of expectations, you know. And then this guy eventually hears the Black Mambazo sound. He says, I've never heard such a crazy sound before. It moved him. So now think about Ladysmith. Where is Ladysmith? You know, when you go to Ladysmith... there's drought, you know, it's dry, there's no inspiration, it's very dusty, you know, nothing is green. It doesn't look like something can come out of Ladysmith.
Yes, Ladysmith is a town in KwaZulu-Natal, for viewers who don't know.
So here we are, people who embraced our culture, people who embraced the opportunity to say, let's revive this type of music.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's beautiful because it's tapping into the uniqueness of Ladysmith, the uniqueness of our culture, the uniqueness of Africa, and embracing that. But at this point, it was embraced by someone who was not part of that culture. At least they don't come from that culture.
Yes.
And they made a success of themselves because the culture here inspired them. Yes. So you're saying that we should be inspired by what's going on around us already.
Yes.
And that's what will take us on our entrepreneurial journeys.
Yes.
And the entrepreneurial journey is never easy.
Never. Never, you know.
And that's not what you wanted either.
No. I mean, for me, it was by accident.
Tell us how the journey went along for you as a brief story. You know, telling a young African child to reflect on their situations and some of their challenges if they are in business right now, so that they can understand that it's okay and that they will be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to curiosity. For me, I just remained curious.
Yes.
And in my curiosity, it sort of led me to the right places at the right time.
Okay.
And when I got there, people saw something in me that was unique from other youngsters. Bear in mind, I couldn't even speak English.
Amazing.
You know, I'm a teenager, almost in my late teenage years.
Okay.
And I should be coming out of school now.
Yes.
I should be doing things that require me to be speaking the language of work.
Of CVs.
Yes, yeah. So, but for me, because where I came from, I realized that opportunities are very scarce. You know, most of my peers I went to school with, their securities. You know, they live in hostels. They can't even afford to pay rental. They commute with your metro rail trains. You know, if they are not living in hostels, they are living in shacks.
Okay.
And for me, what was unique for me is that I realized opportunities are scarce for people like me. And where I come from, no one has an opportunity. So when I was at the right place, I just remained more curious. I raised my hand.
Asked more questions.
I asked more questions.
Engaged more.
Yes, I decided that, you know, every time I go to a forum or to an event, I need to ask at least one question.
And this was in the early stages of when you started at YMCA.
Yes, yeah. Before I even got to the YMCA, I was already committed to asking questions. Because I'm curious.
Okay.
I want to know, okay, this doesn't make sense. That seems to make sense. You know, I mean,
why? You're asking why. What's the difference?
Yes, but why? You know, so I really followed that thread of yes, I get it.
I hear you.
But why?
Okay.
Because most of the time, why is missing? You know, because as thought leaders, sometimes we use the jargon and you know, and then
the meaning gets lost in
the message gets lost. You know, I mean, if you know Indachana, which would be the short stories, in the Zulu history. You know, all our history is embedded in music.
Yes.
By Princess Makoko.
Yes.
She composed all the songs that have all our history, the Zulu history. You know, growing up, people say, no, you don't have your history recorded.
Yeah, it's
we
not written
sing
down.
Our history. We sing, we dance our heritage.
It's
you know?
part of your tradition.
Yes, in that way, it's easy for us to pass it on to the next generation. We sing it, we dance it, we live it. You know?
Yeah.
So then, the history that is in the library, because how much do British know about British history? You know, from the books and books and books
to go and read
that are piling up in whatever library in the biggest cities. You know, they don't know much because it's a lot of cognitive overload.
I see.
To even begin to start, you know,
to create a thesis around around this history. But when you are now engaging with the forums and you are being curious, and these are some of the things that you came across, was to learn about your identity, but also to show that you are curious enough to take on opportunities when you got them. And then where did it go on from there?
You know, then I started getting invited to participate on some opportunities that came. And I mean, being engaged in the community, it just created unique opportunities for me, because that means I was first to hear. Then I'm first to prepare.
Sure.
By the time the word goes out, I'm ready.
Sure.
You know,
preparation
was everything for me. You know, I'm not ad-lib.
Sure.
So I understood that very early. In terms of
and when you say being engaged in the community, what I'm interpreting is that you were doing work that impacted people's lives. You were helping people, whether that would be for the youth, giving them workshops, giving them training, or teaching them certain things. What is that the appropriate understanding?
So how it happened for me, I moved to the urban area when I was about to do my grade 10.
Okay.
So my dad had heard that a specific school in the township had young people travel overseas. My dad was really inspired by that story, you know, and he came home and living in the village. He said, "Hey, there's a school there. I mean, kids go overseas there.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that you'll have a fair chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So let me move you.
Yeah.
So he moved me from a rural school.
Amazing.
Where I used to draw everything for the school, because no one could draw.
Okay.
No one had a drawing ability.
If they had an event,
yes.
Sir Miyeza would be the one.
I was participating. You know, if I need to create a poster,
yes.
if I need to blow up a poster from a book,
yes.
You know, then I will do just that to help the teachers so that they can show kids, oh, the cows.
Yes,
they're eating grass,
like
and
this.
You know, so they can put charts on the walls. So I mean, from there.
So creativity is something quite natural for you.
Yes, yeah.
Something that was honed.
Yes.
Early on, which speaks to strengths as well, strengths and abilities, and leveraging those on your journey.
Yes.
And it seems you knew about, you know, your strengths and ability. Now being a design and creative, and by design I mean beyond making things aesthetic.
Yes.
But design in terms of making things valuable and useful. So not only designing on the surface, but I mean your business now helps other businesses solve problems.
Yes.
Underneath the brand,
and
the positioning and the value propositioning, etc. And that is a skill and a strength that you leveraged on in the process. But I mean, you are now being moved with that skill in hand.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, if you live in the countryside, in the villages, you have to look for cows. You don't know where they are.
Yeah.
You don't have the GPS to track them. You know.
And they don't shout when you call. They don't come running when you call.
They are moving with other cows. You know, so you can hear more from another mountain. You follow that sound. You find that no, it's not the head that you are after. You know, and you need to constantly be going out there looking. You keep on searching. You know, you need to survive while you are searching. You don't know how many kilometers you're going to go. And how are you going to have food? Where are you going to get the water? Because you can cross and leave the river behind. And you travel 20 kilometers before you find
a source of water.
You know, so in that way, it just teaches you resilience.
I see.
It teaches you survival skills. You know, you go there, you wonder, you could be attacked by predators. You find fruits. You must know which one to eat and which one you must not eat, otherwise you die.
You don't,
because some of the stuff is poisonous there. You know, you have to deal with the snakes. You are crossing the trenches. You know, so getting into the trenches it started early for me. So
you've been
I've been in the trenches since a young age. So I mean, the urban jungle is not really sophisticated for me. It's a walk in the park, you know.
Amazing. So they took you into the urban jungle. With these skills, abilities, and resilience, and curiosity, and this is where you saw yourself starting to manifest those skills and abilities into a leadership and entrepreneurial life. now you are in the school, and where was that, by the way? Was it here in Joburg? Or?
No, it was Durban.
It was in Durban.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And then the kids, they are going overseas. Well, for what reason? What was the school about? Which school is it? Just in case there's someone who's thinking.
It was Makuta High.
Makuta High.
The township was Gwamakuta.
Gwamakuta, okay.
Yeah, so kids were going for some science. The school was good. In many areas, they had some technical classes.
Okay.
Like you could learn how to be a mechanic.
Okay.
By the time you leave school, you know how to take the engine out.
Wow.
and all of that. And there was woodworking. They had proper workshops with all the machinery and facilities that you could possibly need.
Valuable stuff.
They had the relevant skills and teachers, you know. We did technical drawing. I was always passionate about drawing. So when I saw anything with drawing, I chose it, you know. So for me, growing up, everybody thought I would be an architect.
Okay.
You know, until...
Because you were busy drawing, technical drawing, designs, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I even drew the church, and I used to help people when they want to have like sophisticated houses, you know, in the village. Now they want to use bricks. They just want an idea to show the what you call it, the bricklayer.
Yeah.
You know, to say, hey, this is how we want it to be. You know, at least now he has a visual picture.
He can work on
because
something.
there was no one who knew CAD. There was no one who owned a computer.
No CAD,
you know, my imagination had to work.
And communicating that, in a way that is effective, and the pencil has always been one of those tools, that is incredibly effective. So you everyone thought that you were going to be an architect.
No, I mean, until I came to an end of my high school life, and then I had my results. Then I said to my dad, hey, I'm ready now to go and do this thing. My dad says to me, man, you know, I lost the job from Eskom. My dad used to work on live transmission. You know, those big towers that connect stations. You know, like So he used to work on live transmission, and that department was reshuffled, and then there was new compliances, you know, that required new skills, and my dad did not have those new skills to move to the next, so he was retrenched. So he said, man, you are on your own. For me, I've given you primary education now. It's up to you what you do with your life, you know. I had already started working with YMCA. I was doing dramatic art, which was very good for me because for someone who didn't have English. Now it's an opportunity to learn communication, to learn writing,
dialogue.
Because I found 4 guys that were doing drama to use it as an instrument to educate the community around the issues of drug abuse, HIV, teenage pregnancy, you know.
Got it.
So I came in there. I had my imagination, you know, I had my creativity. I started participating, you know, with these guys. These guys realized that I was so good. I just adapted. And now the English was the only missing thing. I see. So they wrote the lines. We had a very good director who was passionate about writing. So he wrote the scripts and everything. Having to go home, read the script every day, practice. We had 3 practices every week that were mandatory. We needed to show up at the library. We do our sessions for good 2 hours. So that was setting me up. I didn't even know it was setting me up.
You didn't even know that
my presentation skills, my communication,
pitching,
you know,
all of these things.
I'm telling you, until we get invited, there was a board of YMCA. They wanted to invite us because they had heard that our plays were doing really well. The community, the schools, we were performing in schools.
Lovely.
Representing YMCA that did not even exist in our community. You know, it was what we call it, a site,
satellite
site.
Branch,
you know, there was nobody there. There was just a project, an initiative that existed there. So I participated in that, and that's when I learned a lot of communication skills. And I always loved orals, but I was very good in Zulu, just like Jacob Zuma.
Jacob Zuma, when you put
when
him
he speaks in Zulu, he nails
changes the nation.
So, I mean, from there, we were invited to the board. By the board of local YMCA. To the main branch now. Hey, they met me there. They said, no, now we believe that young people need to have their own board.
Initiatives.
Yeah, they need to have their own board that will help them decide in terms of what they want to do and govern it. And then they can have representative in the board, in the main board. You know, hey, people were chosen left and right, left and right.
Fantastic.
Because they were populist.
Yes.
They were people that seemed smarter.
Yes.
You know, who had all the English and who had all the packs.
Yes.
But they didn't have the content. And the vision of what was required. In order to take the initiative forward. So they served on 1 year. I still participated under them as a follower. And these were my leaders. Then I realized, okay, it's fine. Even if I'm not there, I can still support them. And I believe...
Because you believe in the vision.
I believe in leading from the back. You know, if you are a shepherd, you lead from behind. You know that... you know, your people must excel, must move forward. You know, then I would give them advices. Hey, blah, 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 blah. No, I think we need to improve here, there. They didn't even have those ideas. Then they realized, hey, this guy, there's something special about this guy. But they did not tell the main board. Decision makers that, hey, this guy is brilliant. We want to have him on board. Until the board met me. They said, that's the guy, we want as a representative of the youth in the board. You know, white people came there and they said, that's the guy. Fanda said, that's the guy. Now, what happens? Amazing. I remained curious. Started asking a lot of questions. Everywhere where it was a new experience for me. I realized that I don't know much. So the only way for me to know is to ask. And I was very comfortable with that reality of asking.
And often entrepreneurs don't want to be comfortable with wrong or that I don't know. Often we want to be the ones that say we are here to solve the problem. We have the solution. But often the solution can only come if you ask the right questions, and you have to humble enough yourself to ask questions. And so this was an advantageous position to be in, to be curious and also setting the ego aside. You weren't a victim of your own ego. No. So you continue to be curious in now this new space of the national board.
It was a local board.
The local board,
So now I get into the local board, I start asking a lot of questions. People are excited and intrigued. Some people are threatened.
Naturally.
But now, what was interesting is that the board realized there's value in this young man. They got me involved in some activities, you know. And through those activities, funders met me there. Funders said, who is this guy? Now, when they sent a request, I remember getting my first opportunity to go abroad. My organization was working with Oxfam. It was funded by Oxfam for a period of 5 years. So it was getting to the end of the term. You know, now they needed to look whether they need to renew the contract.
Again, what are the reasons?
So, I mean, they were funding them with 5 million. Each and every year. You know,
that was rents.
Yes,
that was a
in
lot
rents,
also
in rents.
back at that time.
So now they could do a lot of initiatives, transform so many communities, But, you know, I mean, I got to learn about governance, the importance of governance and all of that. But it was still early for me to understand some concepts. But I had an idea, okay, this is the flow of things. I mean, I follow Jim Rohn, and he says, you need to understand the setup of everything. And for me, I didn't even have knowing that I needed to understand the setup of things. But my instinct
could see the pattern.
Could see the pattern and say, no, I need to understand the setup of this thing so that I can be more effective in how I contribute.
Can navigate, sure.
So I think from there was just a lot of excitement from my board that they had a young person that was loved by the funders.
Yes, okay.
Now I became the voice of reason for the funders.
Okay.
And they were upset with my board, and they were also upset with my with the manager.
Okay.
You know, that was a general secretary.
Okay.
And they wanted to, they were doing reviews now. You know, and then they invited me to Mozambique.
Yes.
To go there, represent my board.
Okay.
And represent my organization.
Yes.
So I flew to Mozambique. And when I got to Mozambique, everyone was warm. I had already met them through the review session, and they decided that they wanted to have me come there.
Yes.
You know, so I got there. When I looked at the reports from my board and the manager, I realized that no, these numbers are not making sense. So they're asking me, how did you get these numbers? You know, as if I was there.
You're the one who wrote them.
I've never seen those numbers. They said they are touching lives of about 800 and something thousand young people across 4 townships. And then if you total the number of all those townships, it doesn't even come to 800,000 population of young people.
And now you must explain this.
I said, no, they are working with churches and schools. Now, you know.
Your creativity starts flowing.
But I was very honest there.
Sure.
I said, no, I think there is a discrepancy in the numbers. Maybe there was a mistake, or maybe there was an error. I'm not sure, but I will verify this, and we can verify. You know, I didn't say no, you know, but I said, you know, there is potential that we could have reached more young people.
Sure.
Maybe not more than this.
Maybe less.
Maybe less, but it's been more, because our strategy, we had to touch churches, schools. You know, that's where you find a lot of young people. You know, and that's your interface with the community, because those are organized institutions already, platforms. You don't have to deal with a lot of moving parts, you know, in the community. So, I mean, from there, I got my first shot to go to Australia in 2007 with Oxfam.
Wow.
You know, it was called Oxfam International Young People's Parliament. So they brought in, I mean, the process before being selected is the most amazing experience, because I had just finished my matric. And I had no funding to further my education. And my dad was not employed. You know, there was just a lot of challenges.
Just unsettlement. Uncertainty. And a lot of asking questions of what now. So I applied for this scholarship a year before, which was 2006, while I was still in my matric. And I was not sure if I could, you know. And then I heard that about 40,000, because it was an online application, you needed to submit everything. So I needed to go to the YMCA center to put all my documents and all my application. One guy there was very helpful. You know, another guy was my saboteur. So you know, when you are heading to a successful path, you will have opposition. You know, so I got opposition there. I mean, that guy, when communication came, he will not give me the information until I get to the center. And it just doesn't make sense. But of course, that's not something that will deter you.
No. For me, I was determined that I'm putting my shot on this one. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna get it, but I must be comfortable.
This is what I want.
I must be comfortable that I've decided to participate.
Sure.
And I must go all in.
Sure.
And I went all in. There was a lot of sleepless nights because we needed to type and type and type and type. Bear in mind, I have never touched the computer before. So I write in my book, when I go to the center, that guy starts typing.
Okay.
And then we,
start putting it together.
And we put it together.
Wow.
Then I need to earn some income, so that I have airtime and stuff like that.
Around.
Yeah, move around, visit YMCA, participate in programs and stuff like that. Then I got a job through my other aunt who was working as a domestic worker for an Indian guy. And that Indian guy needed someone who can clean the yard on weekends. I said, no, it's fine, I can take it.
I can do it.
I was getting paid about $40 a day. So if I get 2 days, then I know it's my $80.
A
weekend, at least I'm fine. I could take a train which was 7 rand from KwaMashu to Durban.
Okay.
So I could go even to the city.
Yes.
There was so much more that I could do. So I stayed consistent. For good 8 months, I needed to do that. And these guys started putting me into their other businesses because they realized, this guy can also read maps. I started participating in the courier service, where we used to distribute some Chinese chairs to macro, game, what do you call it? But those retailers.
And those
guys. Yeah. So, and then I started doing more and more. So I had a job now. Every day. But I'm still
still asking questions, still participating in the forums.
Is that thing still coming through? So I got my new. So I had my first email. In 2007. It was a Yahoo email. Because now those guys needed an email, so we had to set up an email so that my communication could come through my email now. Because I had realized that the other guy was my opposition. The information was supposed to come through him, and then when the information gets there, it does not come through to me. Then I got a call while I was working in the garden. It was very sunny that day, and I was black as
you
a
could
charcoal,
feel it.
And the Indian guy who was my employer, he was running, hey Skhumbhuzo, you've got a call. Because I used his landline now to say, no, you can find me, because it was reliable. My phone was not reliable. It was a 3310 that I had inherited from my father when he upgraded to a 5110.
Something like that.
So then he calls me, hey, here's a call. Hey, guy from Australia. He's calling me. He says, congratulations.
Wow.
You've been successful. Your application was successful.
Oh my gosh.
Out of 39,000 people that applied globally.
Wow.
You are part of the 300 young people that will be meeting in Sydney in October. Hey!
Yo!
I tell you.
Undeniable.
Undeniable.
Hey?
I'm shocked.
Frozen.
Still, it doesn't make sense to me because it's a new reality.
Sure. It's exposure that hasn't yet been exposed.
Yes.
But it was there in the mind.
Yes.
In your vision, it was there.
Yeah.
And now it's coming closer.
Yes.
So you're standing there completely ecstatic. Just I would have fainted. I won't lie. I would have dropped a tear or fainted or just ran outside screaming, oh my God.
It's very difficult when an opportunity manifests to its fullness because you have not been there. It's a new reality. You get completely puzzled.
What is this?
What is this now? You just can't focus. You can't focus in the present moment because you are stuck between where you are now and where you are going. And I'm telling you, I was...
Those next couple of months, how many months was it? Till from then?
I think it was going to be 6 months.
6 months.
It was going to be like a long waiting period. Now, they said, no, they will be sending a package with my visa application.
Okay.
Sleep, they are paying for my visa, they are paying for my flights, they are paying for my accommodation. Everything is going to be covered.
Amazing.
I don't have to worry about anything. Oh my goodness. Like now, I needed to upgrade to a phone that
would be more reliable.
Then I bought a BlackBerry.
Okay.
You know, with my first salary. Okay. Like proper salary now when I've been moved from a garden to a Korea company. You know. It was 2,000 rand. The BlackBerry with the QWERTY keyboard.
I forget what it was. The Bold, was it the Bold?
It was.
It wasn't that time, eh? Maybe.
No, the Bold was the advanced one.
After that.
The first ones, the black ones, you know.
Yes.
That were shiny on the side.
Oh yes.
Just after the HTC, because the HTC was the first one to introduce the QWERTY keyboard direct on the phone. And now I'm busy with this thing. Like, I need to learn how to use this phone now because I want to be connected to the internet.
Amazing.
I need to set up my Yahoo email
in
now
in this phone.
You know, like
I need to busy with it
now. It's my it's my first introduction to technology.
Yes,
like it's best because
I mean this was forefront of mobile tech at that time.
Early. You know, it still had glitches and all of that and loading. And it was eating a lot of data, you know, there was just a lot of things. But all I cared about, it was to be connected.
You could Google.
So that these people, when they need me, they can call me direct. And I updated my contact details now, my information. Now, I said they can CC that email. I even learned about CCing. I said they can CC that email in all the communication. So that my boss at least had...
as updates of what's going on.
Yes. And for me, I could have information through him because he had reliable systems than mine. Mine could be stolen because I was living in the shacks.
Got it.
Where my aunt built a house.
Okay.
So, and I decided to move to that side because
it was closer.
I was studying in the south of Durban.
Okay.
Now, the south of Durban has the least opportunities.
Okay.
The north had more opportunities. So I moved to my auntie's house.
Okay.
You know, I started... living there, like I moved slowly. You know,
piece by piece, weekend you leave a bag.
Yes, then you stretch the weekend to Monday.
Oh man, I've got a thing on Tuesday. Can I please stay a little bit until it's a month by month.
Yeah, until it becomes the new normal. So and then everybody is like, you know, Skhu is around. You know, is keeping it here. You know, I kept it there, and I mean. It was the best decision for me to make. And nobody told me that there are better opportunities in the north. I just saw that my cousins who were doing poorly in school were working for fruit and veg.
I see.
As cashiers. And I said, if these guys can get jobs like this, then, you know, it was in the north.
Yes.
So the connectivity in the north was much more vibrant than the south. The south, you had to work for Toyota there.
Yeah, I mean it's an industrial side.
Very industrial.
And I mean even today jobs are closing down. Development is happening in the north.
Yes.
Durban.
Yes.
And so the economic activity now is continuing to drive there, and you've moved there. But now we fast forward to Australia.
Yeah, Australia.
OR Tambo, because you would have gone from Durban to Joburg.
Yes,
Taken OR Tambo.
Yes,
and touched down in Sydney.
Now, the reality I actually had after I had received the call, and there was going to be an email that was going to be sent the same day, but I didn't have access to my emails the same day.
Okay.
The reality I still had to deal with was my cousins.
Okay.
I had to tell my aunt, I had to tell my cousins. It was a new reality for them
as well.
They could not believe. And they actually went ahead to tell my dad that I'm lying
about this opportunity. Going crazy.
I'm going crazy.
But I can imagine, you know, I mean, having been from a rural area or rural environment, all you ever see are the 10 kilometers that way, 10 kilometers that way, and someone says that I'm going to Australia. Also, my family would look at me and think that maybe there's something wrong with this child. Maybe he's suffering from his grandmother passing away, or something traumatic that happened. We need to protect this child. You know, they thinking in the best intentions, but little did they know that this is a dream that is manifesting outside of a reality that has been experienced.
Because for me, I was getting more comfortable with the reality that I cannot further my studies. You know, now I have this reality. I was adapting to that reality where I was just a garden boy. Sometimes I'm washing cars. I needed to decide how I'm going to dress up for the day, because if it's raining, that means we are doing something else. You know, I may be washing cars then, so I can't dress up nicely. I believe sometimes I believe that okay, we're gonna do Korea. They said we're doing Korea today. And then I get there is no Korea jobs. That means I must be washing cars. I must be doing, you know. So now I'm dressed to be in the car, to meeting clients and then.
But now you washing cars.
I need to wash cars.
Prepare depending on the weather.
On the weather. So after that,
you're in Sydney now.
Now I need to prepare for Sydney. Hey, I'm going to TNT to sort out the visa thing. Like a visa thing becomes a big challenge.
What is it? What is this thing? What?
the visa becomes, I went to Penn Travel in Gateway because I'd seen a traveling company. I said, okay, cool, maybe. Hey, when I go there, these guys, I've got my slip now. I've received my pack. My pack with every information that I need. The congratulation letter, everything, my guide of how everything is going to work, how to prepare, blah, blah, blah. You know, these guys made a mistake to book my flight from Johannesburg.
Oh, no.
Because they just knew South Africa, Joburg. OR Tambo.
Okay.
So now that means I need to find a way to get to Joburg. So now my family, my cousins, have told my dad that I'm lying about this thing, blah, blah, blah. It's not happening. I need money now. Because my money is burning now in this organization of me organizing the visa with TNT and whatever. They had paid. Now they've got a slip. Now I go to Penn Travel to say, hey, please guide me on this thing. They want 3,000 to help me facilitate my visa. I'm like, no, these guys have already paid me $50. You know, I've got a slip with $50. Why do you want me to pay? You know, they say, no, blah, blah, blah. If we're going to administration fees and all of that, blah, transporting your passport. Now I'm like, I didn't even have the passport. Now I needed to apply for the passport. You know, I need to apply for the passport. Then I need to have a passport number. I need to send them to send me another receipt for the visa. You know, it just became a very complicated process.
But this is where the resilience kicked in again.
I
continued. Because the dream is there,
and
no matter how much I need to spend, no matter how little I have, no matter how long it will take, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'll do it broke, I'll do it raining, I will do it without knowing what must happen. I'll do it even being sabotaged.
So now, I got my flight, I got my visa, got my flight ticket, electronic ticket. They said you'll just produce this thing at the airport, they will print your ticket. Now they've booked my flight from OR Tambo. Now I have another challenge. How do I get to OR Tambo? Where is OR Tambo? I've never been to Johannesburg in the first place. I've always been in KZN. And Then I realized I need to plan for that now. I realized, okay, there are buses. I can take a bus. Somebody advises me to take a night bus, get there the following day. My flight was in the evening, so I had enough time to find my way to Johannesburg. Then the bus, Greyhound, costed me about 350. At that point in time, I only had 500. So that means it was 450.
Oh wow!
So I was left with 50 rand when I got to Park Station. Now I need to get to the airport. I thought the airport would be at
right next to Park Station.
I get there, I still need to go. I asked the meter taxis, how much is it? They say 300. They just say 300 and look
the other way because.
And I said, how do I get to the airport now? Who's gonna give me this 300? Blah blah blah. Hey, I'm trying to call my dad to say, hey, I'm going. Yeah. I'm really going. My dad says, no, hey. Stop joking here. You know? Then I asked people around. Someone said, no, I can show you the taxis that go to the airport. Hey, now, I have to deal with someone I do not know. I've got
a whole lot of stuff.
A whole lot of stuff. Even the police stopped me. They start searching me. I had ironed everything to the T, just in case there are no irons wherever I'm going. Preparation. You're thinking ahead. I don't want to be worried about ironing when I get there.
Because you're not carrying it.
Yeah. Because I liked shirts. Yeah. I liked dressing more formal.
Yeah.
And that was my life. So I had to iron and pack everything neatly.
But now the police are coming and they're turning everything upside down on the street.
Yeah. So I've got 50 rand. This guy says, no, he can show me. I'm thinking, it's normal in KZN. You ask a direction, somebody says, no.
Walk down here.
Walk down here, or I can show you. They just show you if they have time.
Yes.
They take you around the block and then you go. Hey, for me, different reality. The guy takes me through Joburg.
Yeah.
And then eventually we get to where the taxis are. The guy wants 20 rand. I'm going to be left with 30 rand now. At least the taxi to the airport was like 11 rand.
Okay, at that time.
Yeah, 11 rand,
That's fantastic.
So I was like, okay, cool. It's fine, I'll get to the airport.
Yeah.
I gave him the 20 bucks. Now I'm left with 30 bucks.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I still have to deal with a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah, you
I
don't
have not
know
eaten. No, I don't care about eating now. I care about
getting there.
Getting there.
I'll eat in Australia.
I'll eat in Australia. So I carry on, man. I carry on. The taxi goes, hey, I see now the airport was under construction. They had already won the
tender for 2010 World Cup.
Yes, for 2010 World Cup. So they are resizing the airport. Yeah. There's a lot of construction going on there. Eventually I get to the airport. Now I move around. Where do I print my ticket? What is Qantas? I didn't even know what was Qantas. Because they said Qantas, the Australian airline.
Yes.
Hey, they say you're gonna be taking a Boeing 7 something, like the numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, then I get there. Then they tell me, no, your flight is gonna be in the evening at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Hey, I'm like, now for the whole day here in this place, what am I gonna sit and do? I don't have money to eat.
Yeah.
I just have to wait. Until it's that late. Then I'm like, okay, but I'm here now.
I'm here.
I'm definitely
I've got the ticket.
Yeah.
There's my gate.
Yes, they tell me, this is boarding, here, international boarding.
Okay.
All of that. Then I go through. Then I sit there, until my time comes.
Yeah.
Then I see the flight with. We're doing the double deck, the double deck one that has first class.
Yes.
It's so huge.
This thing is gonna
never seen because Durban was an international airport, but it was not doing big flights. Now we are in OR Tambo, where you have the biggest of the biggest. I think it had 3 stories. It had 3 stories.
That was one of the biggest. That was the biggest plane at that time.
Yes, Qantas had that big one. Hey, the wing is just so long. Hey, then I was like, yo, this thing. I'm not sure about this now. Then I look at my ticket. They say it's gonna take about 13 hours because it was a straight flight to Australia. 13 hours on air.
On this thing.
I'm like,
does it stop? Where does it go?
Where does it? What happens? You know? Hey man, the process finished. We boarded. This thing started moving. I'm like, this thing is damn huge. I'm sitting. My seat was right next to the wing, on the wing actually.
You are watching.
Then I'm like,
wing.
I see the wing is so long. Hey, I'm like, no man. Hey, this thing. I'm in it now. I'm in it now. I just have
What's happening with it?
It's my new normal. So we fly, then we have turbulence and all of that. Then I get scared. I don't know what's happening now. It's so dark. We just
they turn everything off, eh?
No, we just left Joburg now. In the evening, it's at night. And I see the stars. I'm like, yeah, I don't see anything now. I don't even see the city or the lights.
Are we still?
Are we still here? Until we break through to the light.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm like, I think it was just 4 hours after we had left Joburg.
Okay.
We are breaking through the light now. I'm like, hey.
That was fast.
Is it already the morning? We just left. It was dark there. Now we are here. And
you're going to the future.
You're going to the future. And eventually we get to Australia. It was around 3 p.m. the following day. You know, now this thing must land. Yo, we are hovering over Sydney.
And
this thing is huge. You know, this thing is huge. It needs to go and turn and come back and position itself. And then, like, it's doing all that thing. You know, like, you know, you'll have those...
Up and down, it drops a little bit.
Yeah, it drops a little bit. Then, you know, it's so scary. Like, for me...
Oh, my God.
Now, my ears are so painful. You know, that whole process now, because we are changing latitude. And I was not aware of that as well.
You are wondering what's
going on now. You know,
normal.
This thing is so painful. As it glides down and eventually it lands. And then now we jump out and everybody's white there.
It's a new normal.
You don't see any black person.
It's a new normal.
It's a new normal. Now you need to speak English everywhere.
And you know this thing of being exposed.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation earlier, and having been people that have gone through a journey of being exposed, you end up having something that you can give back to. I mean, you may not be an expert or a leader in a large organization or having achieved a lot, but having exposure allows you to move the nation forward.
Yes.
By taking time to share.
Yes.
What you've seen.
Yes.
Such that the same way that you were impacted and inspired by the experience, you give that gift to others. I mean, for you ended up, going into business and growing a business, and being an entrepreneur because of that exposure. And we're sitting now on the continent, looking at unemployment figures. 28 if it's 28% in South Africa if it's the specific one, but if we're looking at youth, we're looking at least half the population, half the youth, 1 in 2 or 5 in 10 are unemployed. And we see that entrepreneurship, or at least starting your own, asking the right questions and starting your own opportunity to create value as a solution. And maybe that's a South African dream, or on its own. But I mean, you must have come back from Australia with many dreams, with many dreams that have you now where you are. And I wanna think of when you started thinking of Africa specifically, or even South Africa, or even your own dreams, what were some of the dreams that were inspired by that exposure, that experience?
You know, when I got to Australia, I got to work with about 300 young people from different 100 countries. So these are people from different walks of life. Okay. Bear in mind now, when I have exposure to all those cultures.
At the same time.
300 different cultures.
Wow.
You know, because they could be coming from America. It could be 3 guys coming from America. I had Red Indian coming from America. I had some indigenous people coming from America. I had modern Americans. You know, I had people from Afghanistan. My friend was an aspiring lawyer, young professional lawyer.
Yes.
Her mother was a doctor.
Wow.
A doctor that was not allowed to practice medicine because she's a woman. You know, according to culture, the dad was a businessman. He had to provide, and the mother had to raise kids. And my friend fled Afghanistan to move to Australia after the experience, the program. And she's driving there. She got married to a doctor, a guy who's a doctor. I had a friend who was a doctor from Baghdad. You remember during that time?
Yes,
there was war
on fire.
There was war there, and he was a refugee. He had a refugee status.
Wow.
And he was studying medicine.
Okay.
in Australia.
Okay.
I had another guy from the north of Iraq, who was also a doctor, but a doctor studying in Iraq, in the north of Iraq, because it was in the south of Iraq, next to Iran, where there was conflict. But the north was not in war. So now I'm getting exposed to different cultures. We had Brazilians. We had some Aboriginals participating.
Wow.
I mean, the opening ceremony was all indigenous.
Wow.
So it was the Aboriginals that gave us the experience, the cultural experience, which really like inspired me.
Wow.
To say, you know, to value my own culture, because bear in mind, I was getting exposed to technology. I was getting exposed to the first world country. I was getting exposed to
this is what's right.
You know,
this is the future.
Yes.
But in actual fact, it's how your culture meets this future.
Yeah. I mean, the most inspiring story was the Aboriginal story for me. And I mean, the Qantas had a very interesting ad at that time that was promoting tourism. And they've used the Aboriginal culture as
an attraction.
You know, and there was a long documentary ad, you know, that ad on the plane. So I saw these people, like I was expecting more black people when I got there
because of this ad.
But then I don't see these people anywhere. Instead, when I cross into the city, I begin to see more Asian-looking people.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, there's Chinese here. I didn't even know. I called them Chinese. There was people from
Indonesia,
Thailand, Taiwan, and you know, but they look like one nation as to me. Then I got to learn about, these are the people. Australia is sourcing all these lower end jobs to these cultures, to these nations, you know, because they don't have those opportunities.
Those skills.
They drive cabs, they clean all the institutions, they clean the city, you know, they take care of the lower end jobs. And I never saw anybody cleaning, even my rooms in King's School, because I was staying in King's School. I never saw anybody cleaning, but every time I come back, everything is clean, everything is intact. Perfect. Until I spotted Asian-looking people, a bunch of them getting into the car, wearing a uniform. Then I said, these are the people cleaning for us.
Be the ones.
But they don't look like the locals that, you know, own and, you know, live here.
Very interesting. So this was a reflection on South Africa. I mean, other parts of the continent have a little bit of a different history than South Africa, but certainly this must have been a connection that you might have made to what you see in South Africa, whereby those types of jobs are outsourced inwardly. But mostly for Africans.
So I mean, for me, when I came back from Australia, I was inspired. I mean, I sailed for the first time in Avalona Beach. I mean, it's one of the top beaches in terms of what do you call it, surfing.
Okay.
Most of the world surfing champions are from there.
Okay.
You know, and the guy who took us through the sailing experience was a world sailing champion.
I see.
He was married to a woman that used to organize events. So I got to be hosted by a local family because that was part of the experience. And this family, very dynamic family, and they used to organize all the Mahotela Queens, your Mahlatini, your Black Mambazo. When they do performances in Australia, it would have been organized by them, these people. Got there in the morning, I hear Mambazo song playing.
You thought, oh my,
in the lounge.
Happening?
I'm like, what is happening?
You are on the other side of the world.
I don't know the story. I never thought, you know. And I hear the song, no, we've been working with African musicians. We've been working with the Fela Kutis of this world, blah, blah, blah. You know, they start mentioning a lot of names that I didn't know the West African. I knew Oliver Mtukudzi and other, you know.
In South Africa.
And I knew Black Mambazo, I knew Mahotela Queens. And I was shocked. Then they showed me in Djembe drums that were signed by the Mambazo.
And you were like,
then they were showing me pictures now. In the morning before breakfast, there is just a big story now.
I see.
And I said, if our culture is so important here, and if the Aboriginal culture is so important here, then that means
there's something,
we've got something
here
right going for us. You know,
because
in our culture,
it's so valued.
Yes.
And I mean, now in your business, what do you call it, tagline or description or aspiration or vision is that you build African brands.
Yes, strictly African brands.
And I can see that's where there's a connection, because I wanted to get an explanation of, when building African brands, what does that mean? Because often we talk about innovating, and sometimes innovation can come in the form of bringing something new, something that is old somewhere else, but it's new here. And sometimes that's what we do on the continent. But every now and again, we innovate by making something new here on the continent. And it's an innovation here that it becomes valuable all over the world. And that aspect of figuring out what is that uniqueness that is around our community. You spoke about it, you know, listening to our community, asking questions, understanding what people are talking about, is that element of innovating. And for you, what is the African brand? What is African branding? As I mean, having built the business over 10 years and building now African brands, what is, when you say I'm building an African brand, what should that mean for a young entrepreneur who wants to build an African brand themselves?
You know, basically, it's about ownership. If you understand culture and heritage, it's given to us by those who have lived before us. It's legacy, you know. But because there's new realities that can inform us otherwise, then we believe that the generation before us was foolish or was less advanced, you know. But you find that our culture is heavily institutionalized. There is a form of governance. You know, the governance and governments is not a new thing. It's been there. And we come from the background of what do you call monarchies. kingdoms, like powerful kingdoms,
chieftains
that achieved a lot of, had a lot of trumps, like Shaka Zulu. An Aboriginal guy asked me about Shaka Zulu.
Yes, he's heard about him all
He
the
has
way
heard
across
about Shaka Zulu. A guy from Fiji was asking me about the Zulus.
Yes.
A guy from Senegal was asking me about the Zulus. And a guy from, a historian, when I was in Senegal 4 years ago, going to the point of no return, where they used to take
the
slaves from Mali, Nigeria, Ghana, in West Africa. Then that is the port where they used to depart from,
to Americas.
And then they used to take them through the process of brainwashing them and conditioning them,
and breaking
so
them
that they are ready as instruments to go to wherever they send them, be it Brazil, be it the US. Now, he talks about the Zulus. I'm like, hey, we are in West Africa now, in the west of Africa.
Yes, in the western tip.
In the western tip of the continent. The guy is speaking about the Zulus.
I see.
He's speaking about the achievements of the Zulus as black pride. It's my heritage. Then, for me, it clicks. If this story is so powerful here, why is the story not as powerful?
Resonating where I'm from.
Yeah, so even within me, why is it not that strong? Why is it not moving me?
So please, in closing, I very inspired by this essence of self-awareness, but more so appreciating the value of heritage that is who we are, defines us, whether we like it or not. And Africans often will see adverts that don't speak to them, but connotate wealth. Or, especially in South Africa, will see opportunities with pictures that don't speak to them, or in languages that don't speak to them. And that element of brainwashing to subject yourself to being a tool becomes normal. But what you are saying is a paradigm shift. And I'm hoping that this question can speak to those young people who experience this limited assimilation of who they are. Which is, if you were then to speak to yourself 15 years ago, before this became a reality for you, and you felt hopeless, or if you felt hopeless, or the young person that does feel hopeless about who they are, what would you say they should dream about? What would you say should be the thing that they aspire for and to be? What do you think they need to hear, that young version of you, when it comes to embracing your identity for the innovation of the continent, or even just themselves?
I think from the point of African brands, culture and heritage is economy. And if you look at the trends of how brands are trying to be embedded in our culture, because reputation creates culture. And if I can drink Coca-Cola every day, if I can drink Starbucks coffee every day and believe that I need it in the morning and I need it in midday and I need it before I go home,
becomes my culture.
It becomes my culture. It becomes embedded in my culture. Then I get to value Starbucks more than any other thing.
Because it's a part of me.
Because it's a part of me now. Imagine now if Starbucks was African. Imagine if Coke was African. Imagine if everything that we eat every day was African. If it was made from what we grow in Africa. If it was produced in our land. If it was produced by our people. What do you think will happen in employment?
What will happen in
innovation? What do you think will happen in innovation? In many areas of a nation's development, in our capitalization, would we need outsiders to capitalize us? You know, I mean, there is a guy I met in Zimbabwe. I was doing a YMCA event there.
Okay.
It was called From Subject to Citizen.
Okay.
To say, how do we help young people become citizens in a way that they have meaningful participation, where they can challenge issues, they can participate in bringing solutions to whatever is challenging them as young people in their communities. Then this guy was a billionaire in Zimbabwe. He's into commodities and mining, and he had a business school of excellence that brought in different entrepreneurs and other young people from different parts of the continent. He said, why should an African child starve when he's born in the beach of gold?
There is no reason. There is absolutely no reason except the fact that they not having the opportunity to turn that gold into food. It's being food for someone else. So what I'm hearing is young people should be dreaming to make things, to be creative and productive, such that they can touch the lives of African with their creativity wherever they go, and embed their creativity in the culture, in the future identity of the continent.
So I believe that first of all, we spoke about identity. When we realize that we are a fish, our second nature is being, our nature is being a fish. So we need to understand, where do we thrive, and where do we need to be in order to grow, survive, live. We need to be in water, as a fish. That's where we thrive. That is our environment. It's about embracing who we are and our second nature of how we survive and grow and manifest to whatever we are intended to be. Now, most people are trying to adopt other cultures. Then we are leaving the essence of who we are as Africans. We are not embracing that because our forefathers were very creative. Our forefathers were productive. You know, our forefathers lived from the land. They did not need a master to survive
or to make decisions or to solve their problems.
Now, if you look at South African economy, there is about 16 million employed South Africans. And all of them,
out of the 58 million,
they are living from the master. You know, their survival is dependent on the master. Our economy is not diversified. Our participation is in labor, is not in creating the economy, driving the economy. What will inspire you when you go to Nairobi or Malawi or Senegal? There is collective participation. Everybody is providing a solution for everybody
in their corner.
Now, you can't disrupt that economy. If in South Africa you come and disrupt the banking industry,
you've shut down the country.
You've shut down half of the jobs. If you disrupt the mining industry,
you've closed down forex.
If you disrupt the manufacturing,
all the jobs, you're done with the economy.
Now, what happens to the dignity of the people? What happens to crime? What happens to corruption?
It's holding on by a shoestring. Ubuntu Dreams Podcast, transforming lives, transforming perspectives, and pushing the African innovation agenda forward. And it starts with you. It starts with me sitting here. It starts with all of us in this room. And you've heard it here first from Skhumbhuzo Miyeza. African brands, African identity, being productive and being who you are. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.